Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and thanks so much for tuning in to what's going to be a tutorial featuring my 2016 favorite drugstore products. I'm going to be having a couple of favorites and misses from 2016 videos coming up, but I had a specific request to talk about drugstore favorites, so rather than just me blabbing in front of a camera again for another video, I figured I'd change the format up. So let's go ahead and get started. First product I used is a primer. It's the Physicians Formula Insta-Ready Face Primer. This was kind of a late find for me in 2016, but because it is the only drugstore primer I have found that gives that smooth, even pore blurring effect across the skin without leaving a silicone residue that makes my makeup fall off in just a couple of hours, had to include it. Then I'm following that up with a longtime drugstore favorite, which is the Physicians Formula Nude Wear Foundation. Mine is in the shade Light. I'm just buffing that in all over. This is my favorite drugstore foundation for a beautiful, naturally dewy skin, and on my combo skin, I don't develop excess shine throughout the day. It's just a healthy glow that lasts. On to concealer. Golly, I didn't realize how many Physicians Formula products were in here. This is again part of the Insta-Ready collection, and it's the full coverage concealer in the shade Fair, and I love this so much because it's the most full coverage drugstore concealer I've ever found. It's super creamy, but despite the coverage, it doesn't get too cakey or thick and sink into fine lines like so many full coverage concealers can, whether they are from the drugstore or even high-end. Then to set all that, I'm going in with NYX's HD Finishing Powder in the shade Banana. It has been so long since I've used a pressed setting powder, let alone one from the drugstore. I kind of reached for this and was going to caveat that it's not my favorite. I just kind of grabbed for it to stick with the drugstore theme, but I have to be honest, after using this in this video and then for pretty much the week after filming it, I forgot how much I liked it. It's lighter than a loose powder, but still layerable, and the hint of yellow tint to the powder cancels out any blue undertones I might still have going on in my under eye area. For face, an all-in-one product won me over. This is Rimmel's Contour Palette by Kate in the shade Coral Glow, and I absolutely love this because it's seriously an effortlessly sculpted face in a palette. The contour shade, which I'm applying here using actually a contour brush from Wet n Wild, through the hollows of my cheeks, temples, underneath my jawline, the usual places. It's such a natural satiny finish, and the blush is this coral that on my skin tone and for the looks that I typically wear, it just goes so well. And then I follow it up with the highlight from this palette, which looks very unassuming in the pan, but gives this gorgeous, opalescent, almost wet finish looks on the cheeks. Can really be built for an intense highlight or worn softly for an everyday, but let's get real. I'm all about building the highlights, so we're just gonna do this for a while. On to the eyes. This is the drugstore primer that has worked the best, hands down, for me to date, and I love not only this shade, but all the shades. It is the Maybelline Master Prime Long Lasting Eyeshadow Base. This is in the shade Prime and Smooth, but they have a couple of other finishes within the range, and I love all of them. They're nice and pigmented, so they even out any discoloration I have from capillaries on my eyelids, and they make my eye makeup last fade-free, crease-free all day long. Speaking of eyeshadows, I had to reach for the new Milani shadows or palettes that launched this year. It's the Milani Everyday Eyes, and the palette that I got is in 02 Bare Necessities. Classic neutral look, but would highly recommend you checking out all the palettes within this collection. And in this look, the only tool that I'm using is the brush that comes with them. So even though it's not my, standard to expect from a drugstore product, this also has a great brush to boot. I'm first starting with the crease, taking the fluffier end of that brush and going into the matte taupe shade, running that through my crease as well as along my lower lash line. Once that is good and blended, I'm going on to my lid shade. For that, I'm using the golden bronzy shade, shimmery shade in this palette, using the flat shader side of the brush to pat that all along my lid from my inner corner to my outer corner and stopping right where I applied that crease shade. Now I'm creating somewhat of a halo eye effect going into the shade next to the shimmery gold I just applied. It's, again, a shimmery, deeper chocolate brown, and I'm patting that in my outer corner using that same flat shader that I used with the previous color. Once that shade is applied to the outer corner, I'm going in with the same shade, of course blending everything out in between, but I'm going in with that same shade and patting it close to my inner corner. I do keep my inner corner free so it doesn't close my eyes off too much. I still want that pop of glow in there, but there's a sweet spot right between the center of your lid and the outer or inner corner of your eye that I apply whenever I'm doing a halo look like this, I'll apply my deeper shades. And for as complex as this might look, if you've never done this before, don't worry about messing up, because no matter where you apply that deeper shade on the inner part of your eye, you can always go in with the lighter shade on your lid and dab it over top to kind of fix any mistakes and lighten and brighten everything up, kind of like I'm doing here. To finish up the eyes, I'm using L'Oreal's Voluminous Feline Noir Mascara, but I have to say it's not my favorite. I do like how it lengthens the lashes while it volumizes at the base. That's always my number 1 and 2 concerns, I guess, but it didn't really wow me, so just want a caveat there. It's a good mascara, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but I am using it to stay consistent with the drugstore vibe. On to the brows. A couple months ago, I finally ran out of my Maybelline Eye Studio Brow Drama, the one with the annoying ball tip at the end. Loved it once I cut that little ball off, but I ran out, and so I started getting into this BH Cosmetics HD Brow Pencil and absolutely love it. It's so thin, great for creating individual looking brow hairs, for filling your brows, being a little bit more precise with how you're filling your brows, and just overall shaping and defining them. Awesome product, and it's like less than $8. Last up are lips, and I have to say this is a tried and true go-to from the drugstore, but I wouldn't say I have any favorites for this year. So this is, as I'm sure you could have guessed, Maybelline's Touch of Spice with a matte finish. Super comfortable. It's a great everyday color for me, but I just wasn't wowed with any other formula. Let me know if you were the same, or maybe I'm forgetting one. Let me know in the comments below. For gloss, the gloss from the drugstore that I always had in my purse, I don't care where I was, what purse it was, what I was doing, it was always a L'Oreal Infallible. These are so comfortable, they're very non-sticky, the tapered tip makes them easy to apply in my opinion, and a color like this, which is Coral Sands, is always good to throw on with whatever makeup I am wearing. So that's it for me, guys. Would love to hear your drugstore favorites in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.